Well, this is going to be a big weekend for BC Liberals. On Saturday, the party will choose a new leader. The province will get a new premier. 4 people are in the race to replace Gordon Campbell. Most of the polls suggest my next guest is leading the pack. Christy Clark is a radio talk show host. She's no newcomer to politics, however. She is former deputy premier, served as education minister as well. And Christy Clark joins me now in our Vancouver studio. Welcome to you. It's probably been quite the ride. As you push into this last bit, you've got 2 more sleeps. What's in your mind? What's in your heart? What's in your belly? Are you butterflies?
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting. It's been 80 days. It's been a short leadership campaign by most standards, but it's been busy, right? So we're traveling the province every day. I have to say I'm tired, but I'm excited. I'm excited about the opportunity to bring change to the province, because that's what this is about. This election is about whether or not we are going to be able to bring change for British Columbians, and that's pretty exciting. You know,
change is such a big amorphous word, though. What do you want to specifically do if you win? What's change number 1?
Number 1 is make sure that government is listening to people, make sure it's connecting with people, including citizens.
But how do you measure that? How do you measure that? Do you say, hey, is government listening to you? Yeah, okay, maybe, no. Like, how do you measure listening?
Well, I mean, first of all, you can look at voting rates. In the last provincial election, less than 50% of the people who could cast a ballot did. And I think that's partly because people go to the polls and they say, well, what difference is this going to make?
Or maybe it's because they were looking for a job because we were in a recession. I don't know.
We weren't, actually. At the time we had the last provincial election, things were going really well. But I think it's also that people just kind of, they look at it and they go, well, what difference does it make? I think people need to know that their MLAs are speaking on their behalf. So you can measure things like how many private members' bills get passed. How often is the governing party allowing people to disagree with them within inside their own group? How much is the premier traveling around the province? What are the voting rates we're getting? What are we hearing from citizens in terms of engagement? How are we doing online in terms of closing the loop so we're not just talking at people? There are lots of things in that make a difference. Are we not making mistakes like the kinds of mistakes that the government made when they brought in the HST? That would be a good measure.
Speaking of the HST, plan on that.
Well, I mean, we're going to a referendum on June 24th, so we'll see what happens, whether or not British Columbians like it or don't like it. We're going to fund both sides of the debate so people know that they get fair information from each side of the argument, and they will make their decision on June 24th. Now, I hope it passes because it's good for the BC economy. It was very badly brought in, but it will grow the economy. So I think it'll pass. I hope it'll pass. I'm going to campaign for it, but I do want the campaign to be fair, and I want it to be honest, and I want British Columbians to be the one that have the final say on it.
And you'll be listening, as you say. You know what? The thing I have about listening is my pet peeve, because I say to my daughter, have you done your homework? Are you listening to me? And she's got to, yeah, I'm listening. But listening, it's a hard thing to measure. I don't want to harp on that. I do want to ask you about Plan A and Plan B. Every politician I've ever interviewed has a Plan A, Plan B, all that kind of stuff. If you don't win this, what's Plan B? Do you stay in politics? Do you run?
It's maybe either. My honest answer to it is I don't really know what Plan B will be.
How can you not know?
Because I have options.
If you don't know your own plan, how can you have a plan for the province?
Well, I have a plan for the province. That first is to get elected, and the second is to focus government on families and listen to people. That's my plan for the province. My personal plan will depend on a couple of different things. How things look on the 27th. I'm the only candidate that isn't getting a paycheck from taxpayers every week to run this leadership campaign, and I'm the only one who won't get it on the 27th. So I have been financing my mortgage and food on the table for my son myself. So on the 27th, I'm going to need to think about whether or not how I'm going to get a paycheck. I could go back to my radio show at CKNW. They'd be delighted to have me back. Or if one of the leadership candidates who wins is really going to offer change for British Columbian, I mean, if they want the government to be different rather than just more of the same, and they make me an offer that they'd like me to run somewhere, and I can start thinking about putting food on the table again, I'd be delighted to consider that. So there's sort of a Plan B and a Plan C, I guess, and I don't know which one it'll end up being.
All right, I want to wish you the best. We're talking to yourself and another candidate, and watching certainly across the country, because it will be on CBC News Network. We've got our local team, Gloria Makarenko and Tony Parsons will be on Saturday at 6 local time. Thank you so much. Christy Clark joining us here in studio.
It's nice to see you.
Okay, BC Liberal leadership candidate Christy Clark, and this Saturday, as I mentioned, a 1-hour special. It's going to be on CBC News Network. Begins at 6 p.m. Pacific time, so if you're Eastern time, that would be 9 p.m. And with the outcome of the BC Liberal leadership vote expected, I think at around 6:30 Pacific time.